Hello, and welcome to, or back to my channel. I'm Kit, your friendly feminist cat lady spinster, and today we're going to talk about Allie Beth Stuckey. Before we get into the video, just some quick housekeeping. I have timestamps in the description box below if you'd like to get right into the video. If you like this video, please like and leave a comment. If you dislike this video, please dislike and leave a comment. Any engagement is good engagement to the algorithm. If you enjoy my channel, please subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, I'm so glad you're here. My social media is linked below. I'm Candidly Kit on Twitter and Instagram. I also have a Patreon now. If you really like my content, please think about becoming a patron. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want to do none of the above, that's totally fine. And now, let's get into the video. If you don't know who Allie Beth Stuckey is, you are so lucky, and I'm sorry to ruin that for you. Allie Beth Simmons was born February 18, 1992 in Dallas, Texas. She started her career in Georgia as a publicist and social media strategist, and in 2016 she started a Facebook blog called The Conservative Millennial. She has spoken at conservative events, appeared on Fox News, and started her own podcast, Relatable, in 2018. In 2020, she published her first book, You're Not Enough, and That's Okay, Escaping the Toxic Culture of Self-Love. I'm sure it will surprise no one that Allie Beth is conservative and Christian. Allie Beth is an avid user of social media, and I found a lot of posts that I just wanted to comment on. So, grab a drink or a stress ball, and let's have a look at what she has to say. Someone asked, why bring Christian beliefs into your politics when not everyone is a Christian? Allie's response, my commentary isn't for everyone. I talk to Christians, mostly, about what's going on in politics and culture. Everyone has a worldview. Atheists allow their atheism to influence what they think about politics. Christians are the only ones expected to check our beliefs at the door of public discourse, and I think that's hypocritical and unwise. The Christian faith, like all worldviews, is comprehensive. It is not meant to be compartmentalized. Western civilization is built on the Bible. Whether you believe in it as authoritative and divine or not, it is still crucial to understand it in order to understand why we even have rights in the first place. Well, Christians are the ones who got their God added to our money and our pledge. It's their Bible politicians are sworn in with unless they opt out. And they're the majority of the U.S. population. But no one expects one's religion to be completely separate from their politics. We would, however, like you to stop basing our laws on your religion. And apparently Allie thinks we must all study the Bible in order to understand why human rights are a thing. This is the historic view of the church, particularly the reformers. Christians built Western civilization, created culture, wrote laws, fought for religious liberty. It's not about building theocracy, which the Bible does not call Christians to do. It is about influencing the spheres we occupy with wisdom, light, and goodness. Every other religion and philosophy and belief system tries to influence culture and politics with their perspectives. Christians must, too. Christ is King is a comprehensive worldview. I haven't been a Christian in a while, so can someone tell me what she means by Christ is King is a comprehensive worldview? For the Christian, many of what the world sees as political division or culture war issues are actually basic theological issues. They are Genesis 1 issues. The creation and marriage of male and female human beings who are made in God's image has major implications for how Christians see and respond to culture war issues and policies today. For the Christian, defending what God says about these things is not primarily political. It is primarily biblical, and it has political implications. But you just said the Bible doesn't call for Christians to create a theocracy. So why do you need politics to align with your religion? My company, university, organization, hospital is pressuring everyone to put their pronouns in their email signature for inclusion. What do? I get this question every week, and I always say the same thing. Don't do it. Doing so would be lying about what gender is. And to this I say, what? Why do you, as a Christian, hate on LGBTQ? God called us to love our neighbor. Your actions don't show that. Allie's response, of course they do. I have never acted hatefully toward a person because of their sexuality. The problem is with worldly definitions of love. It is never hate to agree with God. God is love. Whatever he says and does, then, is loving. God says marriage is between male and female. This is rooted in creation, reiterated throughout Scripture, repeated by Jesus, representative of Christ and the church, and is therefore reflective of the gospel. The first commandment with a promise also defines marriage, honor your father and mother. All of human history starts with a marriage, Adam and Eve, and ends with the marriage, Christ the bridegroom and his church, the bride. I'd say the definition of marriage is pretty significant to God. Loving your neighbor according to the God who is love will always mean agreeing with God. You know, when someone says they've never acted hatefully, rather than asking why someone would say that, I just have doubts. Anyway, can anyone make sense of this nonsense? Someone asked her why she hates on the LGBTQ+ community. She insists she hasn't, and that agreeing with God is never hate, and marriage between a man and woman is clearly important to God, and the problem is the world's definition of love. Only ruthless barbarians and tyrants remove a group's personhood status so they can justify killing them. The demons are very upset tonight. Pray. So these both were posted on the day the Roe memo leaked. The demons she's talking about are humans, but of course only tyrants and ruthless barbarians would remove a group's personhood status. Way to go in furthering the notion that we're in a battle of good versus evil. When someone tells you miscarriage or ectopic pregnancy care would become illegal due to abortion laws, ask them to show you specifically where. Tell them to link to the specific piece of legislation and the quote in the bill or law that indicates that. It is simply not true. If someone has a miscarriage, how are they going to know it wasn't an attempted abortion? Do you think they'll err on the side of leniency? Do you know American women have already been jailed for miscarriages? Do you know we have a for-profit prison system? It doesn't need to be a specific law, nitwit. And as for ectopic pregnancies...
And my question is, starts on page 3. On line 9, we have a bullet there where, no pun intended, which states that abortion is okay to remove an ectopic pregnancy. And can you explain to me why that exception is in there?
Thank you for the question. This is language I didn't focus on too much. Oh, it's what abortion does not include. I cannot say why that particular language is in here, but to me it would be common sense to put that language in here.
Senator Hamilton, you're recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. President. But a child who is, in fact, living out part of his or her early life as the unfortunate circumstance of being an ectopic pregnancy is, in fact, still a unique human being with its own DNA. And I wonder, I guess I just don't understand why we've created an exception where we allow those children to be murdered, but not the others.
Thank you for the question. We provided very limited exceptions in this bill, but I can only speak to support of the bill's language.
And this, unfortunately, isn't the only time politicians have been confused about ectopic pregnancies. Can you truly be pro-life without having any religious backup? Allie's response? You definitely can, but secular arguments only get you so far. At the end of the day, we believe human beings shouldn't be murdered because they're more than just meaningless matter. They are image bearers of God, and God says murder is wrong. So basically, it's more difficult to be anti-choice with secular arguments, and you need the Bible to back you up. How do you answer the "how can you be pro-life and pro-death penalty" question? Allie's response? Genesis answers this question for the Christian, because human beings are made in God's image. Because human beings are made in God's image, it is wrong to murder them. Because human beings are made in God's image, the only sufficient punishment for murdering them is taking the life of the murderer. God hates murder so much that he demands the death penalty for it. A convicted murderer and an innocent unborn child are not the same. There is no hypocrisy in being against abortion and pro-death penalty for murderers. There is a ton of hypocrisy in being pro-death penalty for babies, but not for murderers. So, murder is wrong per God, but apparently it's okay if they murdered first, and in fact, God demands the death penalty for murderers. What a strange coincidence that God agrees with all Republican beliefs. But anyway, what if the person about to be executed is innocent? Or does Allie think our justice system is infallible? Or is it like a bargain, a trade-off? You can be wrong once for every 10 people executed? There's also no comparison to be made to abortion here, but I do wonder if she would think that women who've had abortions should be executed. Sending baby formula to illegal immigrants while your own infant citizens starve is not compassionate. It is cruel. It is what you do when you hate your country. The source for this is apparently a tweet by Kat Kamek, a House rep in Florida, who allegedly received a picture from a Border Patrol agent showing pallets of baby formula being delivered to the border. Whether it's true or not, a 1997 legal settlement requires border officials to provide adequate food and water, among other things, to children who have been detained. So, no, it's not a hatred of one's country, it's a legal requirement. I have to say, this floored me. I guess when Allie said she's pro-life, she meant pro-American life. I also like how she heard the border and jumped to illegal immigrants. For all she knows, they're actually seeking asylum, and it's legal to do so after crossing the border. It's an unpleasant situation, but it's undoubtedly easier for someone already living in the US to order formula from Amazon than it would be for someone in detention, if that would even be allowed. And yes, I checked, and there's baby formula for sale on Amazon. America first is wise, compassionate policy. So is France first, Zimbabwe first, South Korea first, etc. Every country should put their safety, sovereignty, and prosperity first in the same way that you put your family first. You may love your neighbors and want to help them, but taking all your kids' food away and giving it to the people who live next door makes you a terrible, cruel parent. Letting everyone from the neighborhood in your home without any thought to the safety and privacy of your children likewise makes you a bad parent. Prioritizing your family is good. Prioritizing your country is good. The establishment wing of both parties, especially the Biden admin, hate the country. To them, it will always be America last. Yes, by all means, please keep convincing your 400,000 followers that their own government is out to get them. I can't imagine how that could go wrong. And on that note, I would love to know what America First policies Allie supports. If pallets of baby formula are being sent to the border, that means that the shortage here is not a crisis. It is not a supply chain issue or the result of a recall. It is deliberate. Because what can go wrong when trying to stoke paranoia? She has such a large audience. I wish she would be more careful with her posts. A little research wouldn't hurt. Modern self-empowerment gurus try to convince women they're victims of motherhood who must find themselves at the expense of their families. It's a toxic message that leads to bitterness. Moms should instead be approaching our jobs, as hard as they can be, with gratitude. Happy Mother's Day! What is she even talking about? What modern self-empowerment gurus? As opposed to not modern self-empowerment gurus? It's like people think they need to add the word modern to something to make sure we know it's supposed to be something bad. What does find yourself at the expense of your family mean? And surely Allie knows that if her dream comes true and abortion becomes illegal again, there will be a lot more mothers who will not be grateful to be mothers. I actually had a lot more posts. Allie is very active on Instagram, but I had to exercise some self-care, totally not just because Allie hates it, and, well, here's a kitten pic to cleanse the palate. Allie is a lot, and I think she might beat Classically Abby in a contest for Most Smug, which isn't a title I would be proud of, but that's it for this video. I hope you have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I will see you next week. Bye!